Hello, folks of our community. We're here to share life stories. We're deeply grateful to all of you who subscribe to the channel and hit that like button. Today we've got 3 amazing stories. So, subscribe, drop a like, and let's kick things off with the first story. IF25 insulted my boyfriend M28 after I found out his secret. My boyfriend Ben, 28M, and I, 25F, have been dating for almost 2 years. While our relationship is not perfect, it's pretty damn close. Our biggest disagreement was when I switched oat milk brands and he kept forgetting and bringing the other brand. We're both quite naturally calm people and prefer a constructive discussion to a heated argument. This is why what happened last week caught me off guard. Towards the beginning of our relationship, when we weren't exclusive, Ben had a fling with a coworker, let's call her Steph. He's the head of IT at a major firm and she works in a different department, so they only see each other occasionally, even more so now that he's switched to remote work 2 days a week. When he told me about their fling and I talked to my friends about it, they said I wasn't allowed to be bothered about it as our relationship wasn't defined at the time and they only slept together once. Some days I will fixate on it and wonder if he talked to Steph at work and if she still fancied him. I know I'm not allowed to monitor his interactions with anyone and would never try to control him, but it does make me feel something when I think about him even being near her. I don't know if it's jealousy or insecurity or even if it's rational. Anyway, last week we got invited to a dinner party hosted by his boss. I'd been to a couple of his office parties before, but only interacted with a couple people and usually was glued to Ben's side all night since I am a bit of an introvert. From my immediate impression, Ben's boss is a bit of a rich prick, but he knew how to throw a good enough party that I began to loosen up and interact with more than 2 people all night. As a teacher, I've always felt insecure around people who make so much more money than me and always felt like they looked down on me, but that couldn't have been further from the truth. I was immediately included on the inside jokes, made a couple of my own, and even got invited to a double date with one of his co-workers and his wife. While Ben was grabbing me some food, one of his friends made a passing comment about Steph. She was at the party but stayed away from the group we were hanging out with. I said I don't care about her, but I also have nothing to talk to her about, which is true. I wasn't about to go compare notes with her, and the fact that she did stay away from us did put me at ease and made me not as wary of her. His friend laughed and said, well, then you might feel the same way about Molly. Molly was another coworker of Ben's who I had actually gotten on with the whole night. I was confused and didn't understand what he was trying to say. When he saw my reaction, he completely clammed up, but I demanded he explain himself. Another one of his friends from the group said that Molly and Ben slept together. To say I was shocked is an understatement. I then asked how many other girls Ben had slept with from the office, and they told me they knew of 4 different girls. At that point, Ben came back, unaware his friends had spilled his secrets, but picked up on the tense atmosphere. Internally, I was fuming and hurt, but I kept a cool facade, and when Ben asked what was wrong, I just looked at him and said, your friends were just informing me that you're the office slut. He looked shocked and I left to go to the bathroom to calm down. I knew if I stayed at this party any longer, I would have a breakdown and needed to leave. So I went straight to our car and drove home without telling him. When I got back home, I replied to his numerous texts about where I was and told him I came home and he could find his own way back. He got home around an hour after me, and by that time I had already cried my feelings out and was ready to have a conversation. He came into the house absolutely livid, which I didn't understand because he was the one who lied to me. He's never even raised his voice at me for anything before, but he was shouting about how I embarrassed him and word had gotten around to his other coworkers because I reacted immaturely. I tried to explain my position, that how would he feel if he found out I had slept with 4 of my coworkers and never told him. He just kept reiterating that he never had a relationship with them and it was just sex. I knew going into our relationship he was way more experienced than me sexually, but I refused to believe he could sleep with these women and not feel anything for them, but that is beside the point and he should have told me. But all he is hung up on is that I insulted him to his friends. When he was done yelling, he said he was going to stay at his brother's house to calm down and not to contact him until he cooled down. I told him I wouldn't contact him first because I'm not in the wrong, he is. It's been a week since he's been at his brother's house and we still haven't talked. I have no clue. My 23F sister-in-law-to-be 32F is sabotaging my wedding. So coincidentally, my sister-in-law-to-be is also an event planner, which only adds steroids to this situation. So we've been engaged for almost a year. We've only really been planning the wedding for about 6 months, but we've talked and discussed what we wanted. First, she hijacked the entertainment. We wanted a DJ, but she went ahead and booked a band. It's a local band that's apparently hard to book. This wasn't a horrible gesture or anything, but it was over the line not considering asking us first. We wanted the food served to be Southern food, as is our location, and she ordered catering from a fancier upscale place. I'm not trying to sound unappreciative or anything, but it isn't what we wanted. My fiancé got his groomsmen each a hunting jacket as a gift. I got my bridesmaids novelty rapier swords. Yeah, I'm that kind of girl. She, who is a bridesmaid, told me that the gift was stupid. My maid of honor, bless her heart, took the sword from her and said if she didn't appreciate it, then she couldn't have it. The final straw for me was when she told her boyfriend that he could serve in our wedding. Her excuse being that they were practically married and she wanted him to be a part of the experience. This is probably the 80th guy she's dated since I've known her, so I know he's going to be gone soon. I very politely informed her that if she didn't leave my house, there would be slapping involved. On the previous note, she recommended to me that I take my own brother out of the ceremony to accommodate for her boyfriend. It seems like a personal vendetta against me now. My fiancé ended up getting into an argument with his family over this and they defended his sister. He told them if they didn't respect our wishes, then they could stay home. The threat worked, but not for so long. When we were discussing at my engagement party where we were going for our honeymoon, we said we were going to Scotland. She said that sounded dumb and that we should go somewhere nicer. Little girl, I have a prehistoric lake monster to find and I'm not letting you get in the way of that. I very sweetly told her we made sure to get a nice king-sized bed so the three of us can all have fun together. After all, it's all of our wedding. I had a sit down with her later and told her that she was getting under my skin with everything. She told me it wasn't personal and I assured her that it seemed that way. I told her that we were going to be family soon and I wanted her at my wedding, a half-truth, but she needed to mellow out. She left without saying much, but she made a group chat today with everybody in the wedding party in it, assigning everybody specific tasks based off of their strengths and weaknesses. What should I do about her? She's taking the fun out of my wedding and common sense won't stick with her for more than a few hours. How should I handle this? Partner 22F has been sleeping all day while I 24F work full-time and pay for everything for the past 2.5 years. We have been together for just over 2.5 years. At first it was amazing and we fell for each other fast. She lived with her parents but came over almost every day. I have a roommate, so I didn't feel comfortable with her staying there while I was at work, but she'd always burst into tears and beg me to let her stay no matter how gently I tried to tell her she had to leave. So eventually, I felt too bad and let her stay. One day turned to 2, then 3, then before I knew it she just lived with me. I was so in love with her it felt like nothing else mattered and I didn't want to hurt her, so I never really told her that she had to leave. However, she didn't have a job and has never had one before. She has done pretty much nothing but sleep all day and watch TV since she moved in with me. She does a few chores once in a while, like tidying or washing dishes, but leaves me responsible for everything else. Working, doing errands, doing laundry, taking the trash out, cooking 90% of the time, paying for rent, bills, groceries, etc. all falls entirely to me. If I don't do them, she still refuses to and complains. Even when she does have money, she feels like she doesn't have to contribute any because she doesn't have a stable income, so it's not fair. She also doesn't leave the apartment for anything unless I come with her. Not even to see friends or family. We share a tiny room in a tiny apartment and I have absolutely no alone time in my life aside from when I'm in the bathroom. I can count on my hands the number of times I've had the bedroom to myself for more than an hour since she moved in. I've also had to start working 40+ hours in addition to racking up thousands in debt to pay for everything for both of us. Admittedly, I could have budgeted better. But I've been stressed and exhausted, so I've ordered fast food a lot to avoid having to cook for us every night after work. More recently, in the last few months, she's been really struggling with our lack of a sex life, but I feel like I just have no libido anymore since we never have any time apart. Now, she's lived with me for 2 years and my biggest regret is not speaking up sooner. I think it's partially because my parents were abusive and accused me of being lazy and not doing enough for them a lot, so I try really hard to not be like them. I tried suggesting that she talk to her doctor because I thought she might have depression, but she just kept putting it off, saying she was too scared to call the doctor's office or didn't think she was depressed anymore. She has anxiety as well but didn't respond well to therapy or medication in the past. I've been trying to gently push her and help her to be responsible for a few more chores or to look for a casual/part-time job, but nothing sticks. She just starts crying and asks me if I think she's a burden. I spent so long just silently waiting for her to start contributing more because I didn't want to have to be the bad guy, but now I'm afraid our relationship is unsalvageable. Is there anything I can do aside from breaking up with her? I can't imagine life without her despite all our problems.